Hi, I'm Tim Talen of the Ragwood Refactory. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the service bulletins that were issued for the Interstate Cadet. Now, as a little backup to that, you may be surprised to know that there are no airworthiness directives on an Interstate Cadet. The airframe portion, engine-wise, there were some, but on the Interstate airframe there are no airworthiness directives. But Interstate themselves did issue 44 service bulletins from about the first production aircraft that they built in January of '41 up until the last one that was issued in 1944. So there's kind of an interesting breakdown in these service bulletins, and they kind of fall into about 3 or 4 different categories. One of them, one of the problems they were having was landing gear. So there's several issued service bulletins on landing gear situations, including the tail wheel. And then there was an important one on the horizontal stabilizer. Then they issued several of them on the seats and several of them on rudder pedals. There were a couple of engine things like the grills had to be modified, and also the carburetor airbox, which nowadays most everybody has a different style airbox. So some of these service bulletins have pretty much faded into the background and aren't important. But today what I'd like to do is bring up a couple, do a first of the 2 service bulletins that are pretty much the most important ones to get taken care of. And then in following succeeding restoration tips, we'll go ahead and cover some of the other service bulletins as it looks like we need. So let's take a look at the first service bulletin, which is, and the first 2 that I want to talk about are the most important ones. The first one is the horizontal stabilizer. So let's go take a look at that. The first item is the service bulletin that involves the front attached tube for the horizontal stabilizer. This guy right here. This attach bolt right here, over a period of wear and tear, eventually these things started to crack out, and of course that would be almost a fatal situation to have that tube fail. So they came out with a service bulletin to put an insert tube inside this tube and weld it in on the ends. So you should have this 3/4 inch tube and a 5/8 tube inserted into this. Now, at some point in time through the factory production, they changed the thickness of this tube so that they would get away from that. This particular serial number on this fuselage is late, and it has a heavy wall tube, which is about 063. It's about a 16th inch wall, pretty heavy tube. But on lighter ones, I have seen cracks out of those things started, so I know it's a strong possibility that you could have that problem. So you might check on yours if you're in the restoration process. Check to make sure that you either have a heavy tube, or with the lighter tube, you've got the insert tube welded in to take care of that. The problem, or why this problem arose, was because people were lifting up on the horizontal stabilizer and bending and putting great loads on this front tube, way more than flight loads would ever be. And so it was the ground handling operation of your cadet that created the problem here. Unfortunately, Interstates did not have grips to pick up, a hand grip to pick up the tail of the airplane, and so people just naturally ended up lifting on the horizontal stabilizer. So check that tube on both sides, and also your rear tubes. You might as well take a look at those too while you got the chance to make sure that everything is all sound back there. Okay, that's that service bulletin.